Hold on, wait, I want to do something. Hold on. I don't know. Wait, you can see my head getting cut off. Yeah, there we go. Hang on. You can imagine me coming out of a pipe. Woohoo! It's a me, Mr. Milord. Hello, it's a me. Hello. I thought of this just this exact moment. I don't have a pipe asset. I wish I did. I got my can of drank. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the episode. Welcome to this random chimp event. Where today, I'm gonna be doing a new segment kind of idea I've had, where I basically just want to sit and do a sort of general Zatsudan, where we talk about movies, where we talk about films, because I like films a lot. And Sal, thank you very much. And as I've been going on for months about, I've been really excited about the Mario movie. Mushroom Kingdom! Here we come! And so, you know, the craziest part about all of it, honestly, is that it finally fucking came out. Do not talk about my boomer social media. It doesn't go off the entire day, and then the instant I start streaming, it's like, hello, you're a boomer, and I'm like, I know! I know! Okay, anyway. Like I was saying, the other day, I saw the Mario movie. It's a kind of movie that you go by yourself to the theater to watch. It's an event film. And so what I'm going to do today is we're going to have a general discussion of the film. Akaros, thank you very much for the super. I'm glad you like the idea. We're going to have a general discussion of the film, and then later on we will get into spoiler talk, and I'm going to include this. If anyone has not had the luxury of having seen the film yet, although I would highly recommend that before we reach that point of the discussion, that you go out and get yourself a ticket, close the stream, go and see the movie. I would highly recommend you go and watch it because, general thoughts, I think that this is a really good film. So I'll try and explain sort of what the appeal of the movie is and who it's for, if that's not already very obvious. It's for people like me. So, what you may know about this film is that it's sort of getting a bit of a mixed reception from critics, whereas audiences are loving it. And me personally, I tend to be the kind of person who will defer to critics more often than not. However, I think that in this case, it's sort of a special case because the film was made for a very specific type of person. This film was made purely for fans. So everything that you've heard about this film, about it having kind of a basic plot, is true. The plot is very easy to follow, but in my mind, this is a really a benefit to the film. Because those of you who enjoy Mario, those of you who have grown up playing the games, those of you who have played them at any point in your life, you'll know that Mario has never had a huge plot. In some games, like Mario Galaxy, the plot is buried a little bit, but fun takes center stage. It's about playing a game that is fun and funny. It's like Reggie says, if it's not fun, why bother? And Mario is always fun. And this movie is really, really, really fun. From start to finish, it will reward the attentive watcher, and it will reward the long-standing Mario fan. Anyone who has played a Mario game will notice the soundtrack rich with motifs and with tunes that you've come to recognize from all sorts of different corners of the Mario franchise. You'll hear tunes from all the way back in the Nintendo Entertainment System era, and then you'll hear some from games as recent as Bowser's Fury or Mario Odyssey. There are so many little avenues to go down that any Nintendo property in sort of the Mario lexicon that you've enjoyed over the past few decades is probably represented in some way in this film. And this is sort of a real breath of fresh air from a company like Illumination, which has a strategy of spending as little money as possible on their animation to maximize profit. You can tell that the animation for this film is really of the highest effort they could possibly have managed. The animation feels very much alive, and the character animations are really, really fun to watch, incredibly fun to watch. So really, I think that when it comes to the critical reception, I don't think that the critics necessarily fumbled. I think what we have to understand is that critics come from a place of, I will see every film that comes out and try to judge them fairly. And the Mario movie was not made for critics. I think that I would appreciate it if more critics had the ability to appreciate that and to judge the film based on its merit of what it was trying to go for, rather than to sort of try and think about how much they personally enjoyed it. However, it still makes sense that this is how it is. This is not a groundbreaking film. This is not a film that's going to shake the foundations of animation or Hollywood forever. It's not what it's going for. This film is going to be for fans. And I think that had this film, I mean, listen, there was another Mario movie back in 1993 that desperately tried to appeal to the mainstream, and it didn't really go down very well. So I think that this film did an incredible job of choosing to sort of say, no, this is, you know, we don't need an incredible critical response, we don't need this, we don't need that. All we want is to do something good for the fans, and they did something very, very, very good. So that, I think, is pretty much my overall thoughts, spoiler-free, on the film. What are a few other elements that I want to talk about? The voice cast. Jesus Christ. So, those of you who are following the run-up to this film will remember quite how much, Psycho, you're just wrong for that. How much raw hysteria that there was about Chris Pratt as Mario. The shock when we were all watching. You know, fun fact, I actually received my email from NIJISANJI telling me that I had gotten the role on the same day that the cast of the Mario movie was announced, I believe. It was short. I watched the Nintendo Direct shortly after I received the email. So I have very fond memories of that day, and you couldn't imagine just the raw shock emanating through my entire body when... Hold on, I'm just fiddling with my microphone here. the raw shock emanating from my body when, after already what had been such an incredible day with such wonderful news, to then look at the screen and see Chris Pratt is Mario, Charlie Day is Luigi, Anya Taylor-Joy is Peach, Jack Black is Bowser, Keegan-Michael Key is Toad. I think that one might have made me laugh the most until I saw Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. It went so hard and it went insane, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But how does the voice cast hold up? There was hysteria about Chris Pratt as Mario, especially considering, what is it, Isami, a Mario. In the early trailers, these sort of, the reception, or like sort of the lines they showed, they did not show off how well Chris Pratt was able to do the actual Mario voice. They showed a couple lines that didn't really show off his, didn't really show off all of his talents too well. Because what I'm going to tell you guys is that Chris Pratt is actually pretty damn good in this film. I kept forgetting that it was even Chris Pratt. I just kept seeing Mario. And so there are some ways in which they definitely pay homage to the traditional wahoo kind of Mario voice, and he can do it very, very well. But I think that the voice he did choose to go for is pleasant, and it's sweet, and the jokes roll off very, very well with the voice that he chose to go for. He is good in the film. He is very, very good. And he slips right into those Mario shoes quite well. But of course, he's up against a lot of very interesting characters. So what I'll do, I'll finish talking about my general thoughts on all the voice actors, and then I'll put up my spoiler warning, and we can have a discussion about spoilers, because, oh boy, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to spoilers. There's a lot to go over in the plot of this film, so, you know, we'll get into it. Him having a Brooklyn accent. Because people forget, right, that that's what Mario sounded like in his TV incarnations. In the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, he was like, "Hey Luigi," you know, he sounded like an Italian-American plumber living in Brooklyn. He sounded like just the typical man you would expect. No man with a mustache sounds like, "Woohoo! Let's go! Wee!" He's, you know, he's really, back in the day, he was like, "And if you're not watching the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, you're gonna turn into a Goomba!" And then everyone watching goes, "Ah!" And then they just transform into a Goomba, right? So it's paying homage to that, but it's also a much easier voice to get into than a fully, you know, massively hairy Brooklyn plumber. But how is the rest of the voice cast? Charlie Day is fantastic as Luigi. He has this this energy to him, and he manages to sort of to live up to expectations in a really big way. He really captures the sort of the false bravado, but then the cowardice, that's it, the cowardice of I was about to call him Lucio, of Luigi. And it was just an incredible experience to hear him. And so he was fantastic. Charlie Day was brilliant, and I always thought that was good casting, and he really lived up to it. Second of all, Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach is pretty fantastic as well. I really like the way that they characterize Princess Peach, because Princess Peach has never really been a damsel in distress. She might need to get rescued, but in so many of her incarnations in the game, she's been a perfectly capable individual. When she's a playable character, she's strong, and she's sarcastic, and she's fantastic, and Anya Taylor-Joy captures that really, really, really well. I think that rather than her performance really being a super standout, I think that it just fits the role perfectly, and she just glides through the film feeling like she's absolutely a part of it. I think that instead of looking out for who the actor is, you kind of really do lose yourself in these characters, which for, you know, a licensed animated film is not something I would have expected, but I did. And then of course you have the king. Really, the main attraction of this film is Jack Black, and I remember when the first trailer was released, everyone was kind of unanimous on, not sure about Chris Pratt, but we all heard Bowser and were like, oh. Okay. It was a, oh. It was, we all loved Jack Black as Bowser, and I'm here to confirm that you have not seen anything yet. He is really, really quite something. Yeah, he pops off. He pops off so hard because what he's able to do is bring this incredible energy, and I think that I won't say how, I'm pretty sure that the script or the direction or whatever it was allowed Jack Black a lot of creative freedom in some scenes, and I'll explain why when we get to the spoiler discussion, but it's a very Jack Blackified Bowser. I don't think Bowser would have been the same as played by anyone else, but he's genuinely hilarious, he's pathetic, he's adorable, and he's also terrifying all at once. Kind of like me. So you can definitely imagine that I was squealing with my on-screen Oshi. And you know that scene with they showed a lot of it in the trailers. They showed a lot of it in the trailers of when Luigi is captured by Bowser and Bowser starts twirling his mustache and sort of like spinning Luigi around. Trust me, Bowigi crowd, your prayers are very much answered in that scene. It felt pretty real to me. I kept just staring at the screen and being like, ah. And then Seth Rogen is Seth Rogen. He has said this himself. He has said himself, my Donkey Kong voice is just my voice. But for some reason, it just really works. I always thought, like, everyone else was like, what the fuck, when Seth Rogen was Donkey Kong. But for me, I kind of thought, you know what, that makes sense. And he doesn't really do much to differentiate his voice. In fact, he doesn't really do anything. But it works. It just works. There's something about his performance. There's something about the way that he runs with this. I just thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed his performance. I thought it was so much fun, and there's more that I have to talk about when we get into spoiler discussion. But let's cap off my non-spoiler thoughts right there. So non-spoiler thoughts, what I really thought of the film is that it is a love letter to Mario, and if you're not a Mario fan, you may struggle to get too much enjoyment out of it. Kids will love it. When I went to the theater, there were tons and tons of kids in there, and they were having a fantastic time. A lot of them were sort of just, they were just excited when something silly happened. They were really enjoying, all the little references, even the ones they didn't get, and it was great. You know, it's fantastic for kids, so if you are a parent, you're going to love taking your kids to it, and if you've enjoyed Mario pretty much at any point in your life, then I think you're really going to enjoy this film. There is so much in the background to keep an eye out for, and these characters that you've grown to love over so many years. Crushed DK? Hell's wrong with you? Why would you crush DK? He's my favorite. Anyway, these characters that you've come to love have been brought to life very lovingly with fantastic animation and some really energetic voice acting, and it's just an absolute joy to watch. I'll refrain from giving it a score out of 10 because I don't really think that's all too necessary. It will differ for whoever watches it, but I would say that if you have ever enjoyed Mario, and if indeed you like my sense of humor, I think you're really, really, really going to... maybe you have a crush on Donkey Kong. That would be fair. That would be fair. I do too. Then I think you're really, really going to enjoy this film. I would highly recommend it, and if you have not seen it yet, go out and do so now, because we're going to get into... Spoiler territory. Spoiler territory. Okay, it's time. So, let's break down some of our favorite moments. So guys, from this point on, we're going into full spoilers, so make sure that you leave the stream if you have not yet seen the film, okay? So let's get into it. Okay. So, where do I even begin? It's not a long film. It's a 90-minute film. It's a 90-minute film, but it feels like there's a lot that goes on. So, the film, obviously, it has its opening in Brooklyn, you know, where the Mario brothers have grown up and where they're sort of trying to get their plumbing business off. And one thing that I really, really enjoyed about the intro was that that advert that they've made, the commercial, because it really does sort of address the debate about Mario's voice in a really, really fun way. So what you've got immediately is the, in the commercial, the voiceover is Mario in his traditional Mario voice, coming from Chris Pratt, saying, "It's a me, Mario, we're going to save Brooklyn," and all of that kind of stuff. And then after the advert ends, you have all these people saying like, "Hey, what do you," he's like, "Hey, Luigi, you think the accent was a good idea?" And he's like, "Oh, I think it sounds good," you know. It addresses really like how... ultimately how silly of a voice that is, but also, you know, it addresses sort of the conversation around it in quite a fun way. I think after that, any gripes that I might have had with a different sounding Mario kind of got washed away, and I was like, you know what, it sounds good. And it's early on that you have a really interesting reference. You have a reference to Jumpman, which was the original, You know, that's was Mario's name before he had a name. It was Jumpman, and Jumpman is there. He encourages him to use that voice. And he's voiced by Charles Martinet in the original Mario voice, which is a really, really nice nod, and it's a great little role for him to have. The plot sort of in Brooklyn is fairly basic. It's the whole story of my family doesn't accept me. Mario's mom and dad are sort of like, son, why'd you leave a steady job? Why'd you become a plumber? And it's fine. Like, it's serviceable. We need some way of getting these two into the Mushroom Kingdom, and that works really, really well for what it is. I'm hearing something. I'm hearing something coming from somewhere, but I don't know where it's coming from. Did you guys hear that? Is there like an ad playing somewhere? It's really weird. Anyway, I'll try to close Chrome, whatever it is. You can't hear anything. I heard like a beep, 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 beep. Oh! Listen! You might not be able to hear it. No, it's okay. It's my chair squeaking. My leg was bouncing. My leg was bouncing, and my chair was squeaking. I thought it was like music going like mini 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 mini. Nancy, thank you for the super, and Kanon, thank you very much. Okay, so... God. So yes, sorry, completely lost track of like what I was talking about. But, so, we've got a fun little introduction. And then, once you get into the Mushroom Kingdom, the animation really does start to come alive. And it's great to begin with, but it really sort of, it pops once they enter the Mushroom Kingdom. Really, the scene of Mario and Luigi getting slurped into the pipe and then flying through space is really beautifully animated. And it's at this moment that we have this really lovely, like, interaction with Mario and Luigi that you don't really tend to see too much in the games. So, in the games, I would say, especially, a good example would be in my favorite Mario game, Mario 64, where what you have is this relationship between Mario and Luigi, where every other character, like the Toads in Mario 64, will just shit on Luigi, and they'll be like, he always was the lesser Mario brother, wasn't he? Or they talk to Luigi and they're like, wow, it must feel terrible living in your brother's shadow all the time. And it's funny, but it also feels kind of mean-spirited at times. And what I really appreciated about the Mario movie in this instance is that what they do is they give Mario and Luigi have a really genuine, relationship. They genuinely really love each other as brothers, and you can tell. So it's in this scene that we have sort of the first moment where they sort of, you know, they hang on to each other trying to stay together while they're getting slurped through a space-time portal, or, you know, the pipes or whatever. And then Mario kind of grabs Luigi's hand and he says, "Don't worry, Luigi, as long as we're together, nothing can hurt us." And then they kind of get pulled apart, and this is sort of reincorporated quite a bit. And it's very, very sweet. Like, I think that Charlie Day and Chris Pratt have, like, really, really believable chemistry. I genuinely really enjoyed it. Just at every single moment when they're on screen together. And unfortunately, there isn't really much of them on screen together, at least not throughout the middle of the movie, because as is sort of shown in the trailers, Luigi is captured, and the whole quest is not to rescue Princess Peach, it's to rescue Luigi, which is a nice change of pace, I think. Although it's a shame that we didn't get to see more of Mario and Luigi hanging out, but there's plenty of them at the beginning and end, as those of you who've seen the film will know. So then we've got probably one of my favorite scenes in the film is when he meets Toad. We've got this this really beautifully animated section where it sort of illustrates the Mushroom Kingdom, and we see it in all of its glory. And then the soundtrack really starts to show itself. Well, it already has. I mean, one of my favorite moments is when they're in the sewers and it starts going did-it-did-it-did-it, did-it-did-it-did-it, and you suddenly start hearing all of these motifs coming out. And but all of these motifs really start to show themselves in the scene where Toad starts showing Mario through all of the through the Mushroom Kingdom, and you have motifs from, like I was telling Sunny and his Totsu earlier, you have motifs from beginning with Mario 3, and then you have one from the original Super Mario Brothers, and then you have Super Mario World, and then you have Mario 64, you have Bob-omb Battlefield in there. There's just so much attention to detail, and so much love and effort that's been put into this soundtrack to really pay homage to the fact that Mario has had a beautiful soundtrack throughout all of its different installments. And I really enjoyed that they gave special credit to Koji Kondo in the credits to say, hey, in the original, games, they've got, but what the fuck was I talking about? Sorry, this guy asking about Shoto and Mary is distracting me. Mods, can we get rid of that guy, please? You need to keep it on topic, please. Anyway, what I was gonna say was that, I've actually completely fucking forgotten what I was gonna say. Yes, okay, so the music made me really, really emotional because it really pays homage. That's what I was gonna say. The music is really, really fantastic because in paying homage to how brilliant this this soundtrack is, what I'm saying doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay, I figured it out now. I'm gonna start my sentence again. Anyway. In so many adaptations, there is a fear, at least in my opinion, there is a fear that too much of the source material will render the new product or the adaptation inaccessible to the mainstream. So, for example, this can happen when you have, let's say, an adaptation of a game or an adaptation of, maybe, I would say, yeah, like an adaptation of a game or maybe a film release of a TV show. Sometimes the music in particular can suffer in this way. What we wind up is with the sort of default Hollywood action soundtrack, like the and it just gets really annoying after a while. You know, it becomes so difficult for us to enjoy the music because some studio exec was like, well, I don't think this is really gonna work for all audiences. Can we just bring it back? Let's just make the music support the emotion and that's all we really need. When there is such a wealth of beautiful music in Mario to draw from, and I think that we are, you know, very much at a loss, you know, really, really at a loss when we're not able to hear that. And they recognize that, and in this scene we have so many different motifs that get used, and I just loved hearing all of them. And this is true throughout the entire experience. So there's another one we haven't heard in the original or sort of in the trailers, which is the instant that Mario sees the Mushroom Kingdom. He hears bum 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 from fucking Peach's castle, which makes me so happy because as someone with so much nostalgia for Mario 64, hearing all of that music was such an incredible experience. And God, what else? Okay. Then when I kind of enjoyed how they sort of incorporated aspects of the universe into... They sort of incorporated aspects of the universe into a movie where in a game you might not question it too much. So for example, in the games, why does a mushroom make you big? Is it the protein? I don't know. But in the film they have power-ups, you know. They have power-ups that it's like, yeah, eat this mushroom, and Mario's like, okay, and then he grows big and it lets him do all of those insane jumps and flips and stuff. And so it sort of really does help you understand a little bit quite how easily Mario is able to do those ridiculous acrobatics, even though, yeah, he's a plumber in dungarees. They give you this fun little explanation of how everything works. And so then they have this platforming section where Princess Peach is like, let's see what you're made of. And she makes him do all of this platforming. And he stays up and he's determined and he keeps wolfing down these mushrooms to power himself up so he can do these big jumps and fly around the arena. And he gets smarter and he's determined. And it makes you like him more as a character. Princess Peach is sort of, you know, there's a sort of a certain realism to her as a ruler in the way that she's trying to verify whether or not Mario will actually be able to do anything that he says he's going to do, and she doesn't want to get him killed. But of course, then over the course of this training sequence, we see so much more Mario stuff, and these two bond, and it's just great. It's just been fun from start to finish. We're only maybe 15-20 minutes into the film at this point, and it's already given us so much to enjoy. But back to the soundtrack. After this point, we have Mario, Princess Peach, and Toad, and they go on this journey towards the Kingdom of Kong. And I'm gonna go on a fucking tangent when we get to the Kingdom of Kong. So just wait for that. So when we get to this section, we go through so many different lands. We see Bob-omb Battlefield. We see the Sand Kingdom from Mario Odyssey. We see Yoshi's Island. And when they go through Yoshi's Island, it has that fucking boom boom ba-dum boom 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 ba-dum boom 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 ba-dum boom 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 ba-dum boom. And it's like one single shot from the film of them just walking past a big herd of Yoshis running around. But it's so wonderful that it's in there. Like, they could have just cut straight to the next location, but they didn't. They thought this is a great chance to show the world even more of the Mario universe and how fun and quirky it is, and a chance to pay homage to fucking Yoshi's Island, which, I mean, the last time Yoshi was in a mainline Mario game, or, well, he's been in a bunch of mainline Mario games, but sort of, you know, when Yoshi was sort of a central theme, would have probably been Mario Galaxy 2. Although obviously he's been in lots of Mario games since, but you know, the ones where you have to ride on Yoshi, and then of course that one's paying homage to Yoshi's Island, which was a very old, you know, Super Nintendo game. And then, you know, they have this whole traveling sequence, but then they arrive at the Kingdom of Kong. And now let me tell you guys something. Let me tell you guys something important right now. I like Mario. I would even say that I love Mario. But I am a Donkey Kong fan. You might even call me a Donkey Kong stan. I like Donkey Kong very, very much. I think that when it comes to gameplay, the Donkey Kong Country series has really won my heart. And I was very excited to see all of this, because Mario is hugely popular, and so is Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Country. But I would say that not as many people have played the Donkey Kong Country series as have played the original Marios. Especially not people who've developed a sort of a fan-like obsession with a giant ape, like I have. And so when I tell you that they've really gone out of their way to pay homage to the Donkey Kong Country series as well, is insane to me. I had this worry that they were only going to draw from Super Mario Brothers, you know, the very first game, purely so that adults, or, you know, people who grew up in the 80s would be able to identify with it. But it really is all of these different aspects from all of these different games, and it was just beautiful, right? So first of all, when they arrive at the Kingdom of Kong, you have DK Island Swing. Which of course is a song from Donkey Kong Country, and that immediately I was like, okay. It's interesting, this film has quite a few licensed songs. Like, even though it has this beautiful soundtrack, they're welcomed into Kong Island by this blonde gorilla with a Mario Kart, and he puts on some sunglasses and like taxis them up to the throne room, and it plays Take On Me, and it fits, but it's still just like weird. Like, it was definitely, I felt as though it was a bit of a step down from the original score, but it was still nice. It was still, do not say that blonde gorilla was hot. Shiny Funky Kong, yeah. It was a little weird, but I did still enjoy those songs while they were there. I was just like, oh, okay. Thanks very much for all the supers, guys. And so there's a fun little sequence where he drives them up to the throne room, and then you realize that the ruler of Kong Island, or of whatever it is, the Kingdom of Kong, is Cranky Kong. And Cranky Kong, for those of you who don't know, is the original Donkey Kong from the original Donkey Kong arcade game, and Donkey Kong's grandfather. So the original Donkey Kong from the arcade game is the current Donkey Kong's grandfather. In this film, he's Donkey Kong's father. And I can understand to an extent why they would have done this, because the continuity of him being Donkey Kong's grandfather is kind of confusing, because there is a character called Donkey Kong Jr., but which technically would be Donkey Kong's father and Cranky Kong's son, but Donkey Kong Jr. is only ever depicted as like a baby, and he sort of disappears for long lengths of time, so it is an interesting retcon, but it does kind of make sense for sort of simplifying the Kong family tree. I definitely understand it. It took me out of it a little bit when he said, beat my son in combat, you know, but it still, I don't think it was too big of a deal. Like, I don't think they deliberately got it wrong or they did their research wrong. I think they just decided to make it a little less complicated. But the fact is, he's not referred to as Cranky Kong until the Donkey Kong Country series, and so hearing Princess Peach, Anya Taylor-Joy, hearing Anya Taylor-Joy say, "Oh, magnificent," or "Oh, noble Cranky Kong," it drove me absolutely insane. You might even say it drove me bananas. I had never felt quite so seen, you know what I'm saying? I felt so acknowledged in that moment. Anya Taylor-Joy, who is in, what the fuck is she in? She is in movies with James McAvoy, and she's in Merryweather, thank you very much moderating the stream, really appreciate it, my man. So we have like The Menu, Splits, all of the Queen's Gambit, incredibly famous actress, acknowledging the existence of Cranky Kong. What a beautiful world I live in. So Cranky Kong, who is like, "Hey, what's going on with you kids? Hey, you want to use my army to defeat Bowser? Hey, I don't know about any of that." He's got an incredible voice. I believe it's Fred Armisen who plays him, and he's fantastic. And so he basically says, listen, Mario has to defeat Donkey Kong, my son Donkey Kong, in battle before I will allow you to use our army to defeat Bowser. And she's like, and Mario's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then they fight. And Mario walks out in this giant arena, and all of the Kongs are booing him. And then Donkey Kong appears. He bursts out of the door with these barrels, and they play the DK rap. It's not a reorchestration like the other songs. It's not like a soundtrack with a little bit from that as like a nod. It is the full, original, unaltered orchestration of the DK rap, and they fucking sing along to it. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong is like, "DK, I'm Donkey Kong!" And then he starts like showboating, and all of the other monkeys are like screaming at him. They're like, "I love you, DK!" And he's like making his pecs dance and shit like that. It's an incredibly fun scene to watch, and you have this great like rivalry between Mario and Donkey Kong. And you have like all of this fun fighting that utilizes aspects of the Mario universe. You have DK doing his classic roll. Like, there are a couple moments where DK will use the roll attack. And for me personally, when Mario does get a couple attacks off, I'm like, well, if this was really true to Donkey Kong Country, you would have hit him twice and he would already be dead. And actually, you would have hit him once and he would already be dead, because Diddy Kong is not with him right now. But we can excuse a little bit of that. Maybe Mario doesn't have quite the attack power of those bees. So, a great moment from this is that Mario. Then another great reference, and something that was in a critic review that I read that was really annoying. They asked, "Since when could Mario turn into a cat?" And I was like, "Since Mario 3D World that came out 10 years ago, you fucking idiot. You idiot. Mario has always been able to become a cat." And they're like, "Well, since when can he become a cat?" I'm like, "Since Mario 3D World. Get your Wii U. You can play it on Switch now. Dust it off. Play it. The cat power-up is very powerful." As we see, because that's how Mario manages to defeat Donkey Kong, is with the cat power-up. And then right at the end, Donkey Kong is on the lowest platform and he's about to fall off, presumably to his death, and they include this little which of course was the introductory music from the original Donkey Kong arcade game. I believe the very first appearance of either character, Donkey Kong and Mario. But then Mario grabs his tie, and then they sort of become these begrudging friends who have to go to war together. And I have to say, Mario and Donkey Kong's bromance, like their chemistry was fucking amazing. Yeah, Mario 3D World came out in 2013, I think, 10 fucking years ago. Can you believe that? Can you believe that shit? I can't. But yeah, their chemistry together is fantastic because on their way out, there is the Mario Kart scene when Princess Peach and Mario and Toad and all the Kongs need to ride Rainbow Road back to the Mushroom Kingdom to intercept and defend the Mushroom Kingdom from Bowser before he gets there. I'm going to talk about Bowser later. Okay, I'm going to get to it. And this scene is just straight fun. It's a really, really great action sequence. We've got a lot of comedy between the different characters. We have some genuinely pretty intense action. We have the blue Koopa Trooper becoming a blue shell from Mario Kart and doing the thing where he spins over top of them, and then he blows himself up! Which I was not expecting to see. I mean, I figured he would, like, cause an explosion and then escape alive, but no, that blue Koopa, he's dead. He's fully dead after he spun out and exploded Donkey Kong's cart, sending him and Mario falling into the ocean below. He's dead. But the action was a lot of fun to watch. There's a lot of really, really fun scenes that are genuinely, I imagine, if I was a young lad, probably would be pretty intense, but you know, as a very old man, I was mostly just giggling and having a really great time. And there's not really much to say about the Mario Kart sequence other than it's just a lot of fun to watch. Hearing some motifs from Mario Kart, especially, like, I believe it's the menu music from Mario Kart 7 that you can hear, Mario Kart 8, sorry, that you can hear when they're building their karts, which is a lot of fun. So that was great. And then what else happens after that? Just wondering. Okay, now would probably be a good time. Okay, there's one on the subject of Mario and Donkey Kong. I really enjoyed the scene where after the Rainbow Road gets crushed open and they fall into the ocean, when Mario and Donkey Kong get swallowed by the eel. We've got some fucking Jonah and the whale story. And they sort of have this, like, bonding experience where they're always arguing at each other and then they might manage to figure out a way of escaping. It's just great. It was just a really, really enjoyable moment. And these two as characters, like, they never really lose that sense of bickering and that sense of banter with each other. It just goes down really, really well at every single possible occasion. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I think now would be a good chance to talk about the real star of the show, which is Bowser. So, in the trailers, there is an element of Bowser's character that they do not really show. In fact, there are two. Well, they're very linked, aren't they? So in the trailers, we saw Bowser as big, mean, intimidating, "Let's end this! Open the gates!" kind of thing. But then you watch the film, and in one of his earliest scenes, he really does reveal that, just like in the games, he wants to marry Princess Peach. Like, in all the trailers, it's just, let's destroy the Mushroom Kingdom, and I was like, cool. But then in the movie, it's, I will marry Princess Peach, or we'll destroy the Mushroom Kingdom. And it's like, oh, okay. And I think this element of Bowser's character, I was excited for him anyway, but seeing all of this sort of, this gentle side of him was just so much fun. A lot of Bowser's screen time is him hanging out with Kamek and him asking Kamek for, like, flirting advice and, like, how to sort of woo Princess Peach. And there's a scene where, like, he's got a bouquet of piranha plants and his Mario Odyssey wedding outfit hat, and he's got these giant puppy dog eyes, and he's like, looks like love really makes a man come out of his shell, and all that kind of stuff. And the best... And then, of course, Kamek is cosplaying Peach with lipstick, and he's like, oh, yes, it's wonderful. Oh, I do. It's... The humor in Bowser as a character is brought so much to life by Jack Black. And the best part, really, is when they let Bowser have his fucking musical number. I mean, he sits there on his piano. I don't even want to try and sing it. I can't remember the words. And I can't capture the energy that Bowser brings to singing this love ballad about Princess Peach sat by himself playing the piano, and then Kamek interrupts and he's like... He really is just a wonderful cartoon villain. He's so hilarious and so enjoyable every moment that he's on screen. But I think that what was so nice... He's like, Peaches, 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 I love you! Like, it's sort of intentionally very bombastic and silly and stupid, and it's really weird, but in a brilliant way. And like I was going to say, it was beautiful because I think that it manages to capture a big part of Bowser's personality that I think a lot of people, a lot of general moviegoers probably aren't aware of, and that's that he's a big fucking softie. Like, he's not marrying Princess Peach for power. He's not, well, he is technically, like, he's like, oh, we can rule the world together. But if you look at Bowser's power inherently, he probably feels perfectly capable of ruling the world all by himself. I think that he just comes from a land and from a people where that is custom, and that's just how it goes, and he wants a father for his kid, and he wants to be loved, and he thinks that showing strength is just a surefire way to get married, and that's who he is. Underneath that cold hard exterior, Bowser has always been a big softie, and by portraying him as just lovesick and jealous, there are so many scenes where every time he hears about Bowser, every time Bowser hears about Mario, if Bowser heard about himself, he'd be like, yes, that man is rather handsome, isn't he? Every time he hears about Mario, he's like, was the princess impressed with him? Were they talking? And he gets really mad and jealous every time he hears that Mario and Princess Peach are having a nice conversation or something like that. Like, he's just purely jealous and feels like he needs to up his army's efforts so that he can, you know, make sure that they get married quickly. And there even is, you know, before she gets rescued, like well, she doesn't really get rescued. Like, she kind of does, like the others show up to help, but she really does free herself at the beginning. But there is that wedding scene where Bowser is wearing his full white Mario Odyssey wedding outfit, which I just love to see represented. I thought it was so lovely. And then you had the wedding song, which I think might have had some Peach's Castle motif in there, but I can't really remember. Bowser's, like, his presence in the film has such great sort of balance to it. Because I think that something unfortunate, really, about a lot of sort of particularly kids movie villains is that they can stray too far in one direction, and they can either be absolutely just intimidating in a way that makes them boring, or they can be hilarious to the point where they aren't threatening. Bowser is hilarious, and he's kind of stupid, and he's really jealous and a soft boy with big cute puppy dog eyes who just wants to be loved. But he's genuinely pretty scary at times. Like, not scary, but he feels like a real force to be reckoned with, and when anyone is in battle with him, you can tell how powerful he actually is. And they manage to kind of strike this really lovely balance where Bowser never feels like he is too... He never feels like too comical to be intimidating, and he never feels too intimidating to be boring. He always just has this really lovely balance of all of it. And I personally, you know, definitely put myself in the role of Luigi when Bowser was sort of toying with him and was like, you know, torturing him for information. Like, I don't know how they managed to make something between Bowser and Luigi so sexually charged, but I mean, maybe it's just meant to be. That's kind of the way I see it personally. That's the way I see it. the little mustache twirl and Bowser's finger kind of looking like an uncircumcised cock. Definitely an interesting scene, certainly. So I really enjoyed imagining what was going on between those two. You know, I mean, it's always been in my head that there's like, that the reason Princess Peach keeps getting captured is because she really does like Bowser, right? And I'd like to believe that that's true. And so she's just sort of like, oh, Bowser, you know, what are we gonna do? You know, and he's like, oh, Peach, I just love you. And she's like, I know, you big softy. Cindy Kindred, thanks for the super, and Karim, thank you very much as well. So that's Bowser. He has just this great musical energy. I love the meme of that one poster where he's like got his arms raised, all the Koopas like with the concert lights, and it says, guys, I have good news. Like the Gru one of, guys, I have bad news. He's a really wonderful addition to the film, and it kind of gives it this great sense of urgency and momentum that I think all villains should, you know, make the heroes feel like their time is running short and that they're always sort of moving from one location to another with their goals in mind. I really, really appreciate what he does for the film, and no one could have played him better than Jack Black. If anything, I think during the final battle, they add some original game Bowser sound effects, you know, like the like that kind of thing. They definitely add those rather than Jack Black doing a roar in some instances, and it's really, really nice. It's really nice to have this little to have like those that sort of variety, but most of the time it is just Jack Black doing his thing, and he does just such an incredible job. So after all this time, Bowser proposes to Peach. She says, fuck no. And then he's like, well, then I'm just going to kill everybody. Would you want to do this to your toes? And she's like, no. And she agrees to marry him, but then she fights him off, and they have a big final battle. Mario saves Luigi in the Tanuki suit, which is a really, really nice little nod to, I believe Mario 3 was where they introduced the Tanuki suit, which was really, really nice to see. And it's like, it's not even like a tiny little reference. Like, a lot of the time, I think I kind of feel this way about Star Wars or sort of Marvel sometimes, is that there will be like a big reference to something that's important to fans, but it'll be a real throwaway kind of thing. Like, I don't know if you guys remember in Force Awakens, there's the little, the training ball drone thing that Luke uses to practice studying the Force, where he blinds himself and tries to use the Force to deflect these little blaster bolts. In The Force Awakens, Finn finds this and he's like, hell is that? And he throws it away. And it's kind of more of a, oh. Whereas in this film, there are so many, like the cat suit, like the Tanuki suit, like the DK wrap, like the barrels or the rolling, or so many different things that are key references to things from various different Mario games that you wouldn't get if you hadn't played the games, but instead of just being, I know what that is, instead of just being, oh, look, it's Thing, which has been one of my biggest hang-ups with Marvel for the longest time, is that when I watch it, I'm just like, you know, or it's like when fans watch it, they'll think that seeing a thing they know is a substitute for something that makes the film good. Whereas in this, I feel as though they were substitutes for something that could have just been dull. Like, they used elements of a very rich universe to progress a film in a way that was good. So the references fit in a way that was really satisfying and fun. And I felt that way about the Tanuki suit. Like, he puts that on, and to anyone who's played Mario 3, they're like, that's the Tanuki suit. And then it plays a huge role in making one of the final action scenes so much fun to watch. And you got Banzai Bill as well, who's genuinely really fucking intimidating, and that was a great little scene where he had to fly away from him. And then they all go back to Brooklyn, and Bowser's ship gets sucked through the pipe into Brooklyn, presumably killing thousands of people in the middle of Brooklyn, which is really scary. And they have their final battle out there. And there's not really much to say about this scene. It's great and it's emotional. You've got a lovely callback to that moment from the beginning where they said, if we're together, where Mario and Luigi said, if we're together, nothing can hurt us. And that's what happened in the end as well. Bowser drops the Power Star, or the Superstar rather, and Mario's going for it, but Bowser is about to incinerate Mario with his fire breath. Luigi holds up this sewer drain cover to block it, and he's really struggling, but he says, don't worry, Mario, as long as we're together, nothing can hurt us. And then they grab the Power Star together, and you got this lovely orchestration of that Power Star music, that bum 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 bum, as they become, like in the games, invincible. And Bowser, it's like something out of an anime where Bowser just runs up and does this huge running punch on both of them together, and there's a shockwave that goes straight through them, and the ground behind them cracks in a shockwave, but they don't even blink. They just stood there like you'll stamp on a cockroach 5 times and they'll just be staring at you like and you just got this great fun little action scene at the end with some great music, and that's that. The brothers choose to stay in the Mushroom Kingdom, and then we get a post-credit scene with Bowser. Also, the way they defeat Bowser in the end is that they become invincible, so he's got no chance, and then they force him to eat a tiny mushroom, and then he becomes very little, and they put him in a jar. Yes, the movie ends with them putting Bowser in a jar. So that's brilliant. I saw that and I couldn't contain my excitement. Practically felt my insides start to churn at that exact moment. So yes, Bowser is currently inside a jar, and if anyone wants to, you know, fill that jar with something else, please make sure that you keep it away from the radiator, because that might not be very good for Bowser. So yeah, he is put inside of a jar at the end of the film, which is terrifying. And so after that, you've got the post-credit scene with the Yoshi egg, which is really cool. So you'll see like a Yoshi egg start to crack. And I believe this is some sort of a... It's like, we'd seen Yoshis before, but I think that the green egg is supposed to be sort of the egg for the main green Yoshi, who is supposed to be Mario's companion. And yeah, it sets itself up nicely for a sequel, and that's pretty much all that happens in the film, and that's really all there is to say about it. Even if you haven't seen it yet and you've heard me spoil the whole thing, which I wouldn't have recommended, I'd still say to see it, because I obviously haven't been able to talk about everything, but there's something so brilliant about this film if you're a fan, and the way that it manages to bring to life so many sort of niche elements of this franchise that we've loved for so many decades now is really worth admiring. I was expecting, when I first heard of this film, coming from Illumination especially, I was definitely expecting to sort of think like, wow, it will be cool to see a Mario movie, but maybe it won't be so good. And I was really, really surprised to find that it was just great. It was just a fantastic, fun family film that kids are going to really, really enjoy, and that anyone who has enjoyed Mario in any capacity whatsoever is just going to have a whale of a time with. I personally think it's better. I haven't seen Sonic 2. I think it's better than Sonic 1, because let's be completely honest with ourselves, the only good thing about the first Sonic movie was Jim Carrey. I think that, you know, and some of the action and cinematography was good too, but I mean, I remember watching Sonic 1 with my dad, and like he was genuinely completely like asleep until Jim Carrey turned up. Sonic 2 I've heard is a much better, but I would really recommend this one. I think that it really sort of manages to fit into the world of animated cinema really, really comfortably. I think that they managed to make a really incredible... I think that the last film I saw in cinemas was Sonic as well, because it was so close to win many countries, including the UK, when we had lockdown to begin with. That was the last thing I saw in the cinema before lockdown happened, just like you. So, yeah, I would highly recommend it, even if you've heard me spoil it. Should I watch it again in English for Jack Black? Yeah! Yes, you fucking should. Find an English showing. Watch Jack Black. I don't think any other actor in any language could have done as good of a job as Jack Black. Yeah, thank you very much for the super. I should watch Sonic 2. I'd like to watch Sonic 2. Because I know about, like, the post-credit scene and stuff, and so I want to see, like, what happens with that. Nekosaka, thank you very much. So those are my thoughts on the Mario movie. It's not something that really needs to be deeply analyzed, although I do want to see it again, if only to enjoy, like, sort of slowing the... maybe I'll have it on home video, and I'll be able to sort of slow it down and look for as many Easter eggs as I possibly can. I'm going to listen to the sound... Is the soundtrack on Spotify? It is! Wait. No, that's just a fan playlist. Damn. Damn. Alright, well, when the soundtrack is available for official release, I'll definitely be checking it out because I wanna hear all of it. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Super Mario Brothers movie. We can talk about... I'll put the spoiler warning away now. We could talk about some other movies. So, the thing that I was thinking when I walked home from this film is that I was like, damn it, I didn't get to, like, go to the press junket, and I didn't get to, like, you know, go as far as I wanted to in supporting this film during its release, because I was very excited for it for a long time, but it seems as though my prayers have been answered. Because the FNAF movie now has an official release date. I'm stunned, personally. I'm absolutely stunned that the FNAF movie is going to come out this year. I was convinced. I mean, it only started filming, like, what, 2 months ago? Jesus Christ. It's coming out in October. I'm so excited because it genuinely, from the first looks we've gotten, it seems like the film is being made with a lot of really genuine love and care. It seems like the kind of film, like the Mario movie, that's going to pay a lot of respect to the source material, and how incredible that, I mean, really it's true for both Mario and FNAF that they all came from pretty humble beginnings. One thing that I really enjoy about the development of the original Donkey Kong arcade game is that Shigeru Miyamoto, I'm not sure how true this is, but I believe he had a very limited understanding of programming at the time. He was more of an artist, you know, and he sort of was a storyboard artist for a lot of different things, and so he drew sketches of the characters and stuff. But what it's commonly believed is that he was put in charge of the team because his lack of understanding of programming caused him to push the team further, you know. It's like one of the lines from The Greatest Song Ever Written, Giorgio by Moroder by Daft Punk, where Giorgio says, once you free your mind of the idea of melody and harmony and music being correct, you can do whatever you want. And I think that's why Donkey Kong, the original, was so powerful, is because when Shigeru Miyamoto had no idea what was correct or what wasn't, he just applied his own completely brand new outsider's perspective to it, and it wound up being a complete success. So there's really no arguing with how it turned out. And if anything, I would say that was humble beginnings. I believe that before that point, Nintendo had tried making their beginnings in the arcades, and it hadn't exactly gone all too well. And so it's really nice to see that Nintendo now, an absolutely humongous titan of the gaming industry. I mean, in some people's opinion, the greatest game developer, you know, that there is, really, and they have been for 4 decades. I would completely agree with someone were they to say that, or at least I would understand it. So I think, if anything, being reminded of their humble beginnings also makes me think about FNAF, because for those of you who don't know, Scott Cawthon's beginnings were just as rough, in a way. He had a very unique style of development. His animation style was very weird, to the point where it garnered him a lot of criticism of people saying, your characters look like shit, they look creepy and weird, and he just thought, fuck it, alright, I'll make a creepy, weird game then. Huh? And so he made FNAF, and FNAF was going to be his final game. He said, if FNAF doesn't work, I'm out of game development for good. Yeah, they said it looked uncanny. Yeah, that's exactly right. And then he made FNAF. And you can... I mean... How lucky do you have to be to think, alright, one more? And then that one more turns into probably the biggest horror franchise that there is at the moment. I mean, every single game that comes out in this franchise is a complete smash hit. I would say that FNAF... It didn't jumpstart their careers, but it was a huge cornerstone in YouTube history. I mean, one of the biggest channels on the site and one of the longest running, Markiplier, was practically, you know, not put on the map, but was experienced a huge boom in his career because of FNAF. It caught on sensationally because the game itself is so unique and it's so inventive and creative. And I'm really hoping that when we do finally get to see the film, that it is just as inventive and unique and crazy as the original games. The casting of Matthew Lillard, Shaggy, is going to be William Afton. What fucking world are we living in? Anya Taylor-Joy knows who Cranky Kong is, and fucking Shaggy is playing William Afton from FNAF, and Josh Hutcherson is playing Michael Afton. But what this means is we might genuinely get to see... If I was to make a prediction about this film, if I was to make a prediction, I think that what we've got is something set around... I would say most of it will be set around sort of 1993. I'd like to imagine that it's set in the original location, which for those of you who don't know, the original location is where FNAF 1 takes place, and it's also where William Afton gets spring-trapped, because Fazbear's Fright from FNAF 3 is the original location, just many years in the future when it's sort of been redone as a horror attraction. So this would be sort of after William Afton has killed all those kids, and it would have been after the Bite of 83, would have been after the Bite of 87. So what I'd like to believe is that what we're going to see is sort of a film where William Afton is your typical slasher villain, who also happens to be the father of the main character, which is going to be a lot of fun. And I would very much... Can you imagine if we get a cinematic on-screen depiction of William Afton's death? If we get a brutal, like, full frontal, gory depiction of the spring lock suit closing on William Afton, holy shit. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the fan-made audio of the spring lock suit crushing him with, like, that evil laugh, and then all of these immensely gritty, violent, bloody sound effects with a man giving a really, like, gut-wrenching, scream-filled performance of him just being crushed to death. It's crazy. Seeing that done by a big studio like Blumhouse, which, by the way, for some reason, a horror studio, but they also made Whiplash, by the way, which is one of my favorite films. So, definitely very excited for that. I'm hoping they use practical effects as well, but it does look like the Freddy suits, like the animatronics, I believe they're being made by the Jim Henson Creature Shop, so they are practical effects, which is going to look really, really good. If they were CG, they wouldn't look nearly as uncanny. You know, they would look sort of fake and plasticky, which I wouldn't enjoy, you know. I mean, really, I've always thought, even before we knew we were getting a film, as far as villain origins go, William Afton, Springtrap's creation, William Afton's death, has to be one of the most metal. It's like, for me, it's up there with Freddy Krueger. You know, the way Freddy Krueger burned to death and then wanted to, you know, exact his revenge on those children in their dreams. Like, for me, William Afton being a psychotic child murderer who tried to ward off the angry ghosts of the children that he had murdered with the suit that he killed them in, but the suit itself, because of his own greed and lack of care, snapping shut and crushing him in a series of incredibly tight wires and metal parts, and for him to then reside and suffer the exact same fate in a really violent twist, suffer the exact same fate that he had done unto those kids is wild. Like, the way that those kids were killed and then stuffed inside the suit is the thing that kills him. My nose is a little bit blocked. I think I might be kind of sick still, but I'm fine. I feel alright. Just got a bit of a sore throat. It's weird, but oh my god, yeah. No, it's oh, it's so brilliant. It's so brilliant what it manages to do. and the irony of the way that he's killed and then being stuck inside those walls, you know, unable to leave because the wall is built around him, and so he's stuck there for decades until he's accidentally let out, just like how those animatronics with the souls of those children inside were stuck within those walls for years, is just brilliant. I think that it's, in terms of storytelling, I just think it's a stroke of genius. I think he's one of the best horror villains that we've had. I really, really like him as a character, and seeing Springtrap depicted in a film, especially by such a fantastic actor, especially of horror, is going to be brilliant. It's just going to be so fantastic. I genuinely have really high expectations for this film. I really, really don't want them to chicken out, because FNAF has such a huge fan base of kids. And it's fine, like, there's nothing you can do about that. But let's appreciate for 1 second how horrid and how violent FNAF is as a franchise. It's about kids being imprisoned and their souls being destroyed by an evil child murderer, and then them having to live on in some ugly half-life until death, and then that killer, or not even beyond their death, and then that killer being imprisoned in this metal cage of his own design. And it just, let's not fucking pussy out. Let's let this film be violent as shit. Let's let this film be horrible to watch. I really want that. I really want them to go all the way. Maybe they won't, but I really hope they will. I don't want to watch another It Chapter 2, to be honest. I really don't want to see, like, a coming-of-age kids movie that happens to have some scary bits, maybe. You know? That, I think, would really be a disservice to how great FNAF actually is. Whee. Let the movie be rated 18. Let the movie be for grown-ups. Let the movie be violent. Let's kill William Afton in as brutal a fashion as we possibly can. Ugh. But yeah, FNAF movie. It is coming. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. I'm really, really excited for it. And I'm surprised that it's going to come out so soon. So, my plan for now. I wasn't able to with the Mario movie. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to get back onto Staff. And I'm going to say, listen, Staff-san, listen. I have a reputation. I am the FNAF man. I am the FNAF lore guy. Get me in a room with James Blum. Get me in a room with Matthew Lillard. Get me on that press junket. You know, I can't recall which one it was, but a VTuber interviewed fucking Jared Leto for the Morbius press junket. What about me? When's it gonna be my turn? I will do a promotional feature for the FNAF movie. So help me God. So help me God. I'm gonna get my foot in that fucking door. If I can be surprised by Keith Silverstein at Anime Impulse, I can meet Josh Hutchinson and I can ask how he feels about the FNAF lore. It will happen. Supposedly coming out on October 27th. They will be somewhat violent if you own what? Suppose it's coming out on October 27th, and they will be somewhat violent, but if you own the copy of the movie, they will show you all the gore. Huh? You trying to say that they'll kill me? What the fuck are you trying to say with that? I'm trying to decipher this fucking super chat. I'm trying to decipher what the fuck you mean by that. That's so weird to me. Oh, the DVD is uncensored. Listen, this sentence doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. It sounds like you present them with a copy of the movie you've bought, like you show the director and he's like, oh yeah, here are the deleted scenes. The fuck? Write it better next time. Sure, thank you very much for the super. God. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Well, that's kind of all I had to talk about today. I just wanted to rant about the Mario movie, and I wanted to rant about a couple of other things. But I'm kind of running out of things to talk about, and to be honest, My nose is blocked and my throat is starting to hurt quite a bit, so I think I need to take a bit of a break for the rest of the day. I've definitely been pushing myself a lot recently. I've been doing a load of work behind the scenes and stuff, and I'm really motivated at the moment, but I think just taking the day to properly rest is going to be really, really nice. My stomach, you're gonna be honest with you guys, after the stream yesterday, no, you're just illiterate, leave me alone! I'm gonna be honest, after the spicy stream yesterday, I didn't experience any symptoms. I think I had a queasy stomach for a few hours, but then while I was watching the movie, but my poops have been coming out completely normally. I didn't wind up having the Ring of Fire, which was really, really nice. And yeah, I wound up just handling it fine. Maybe I'll have some more of that Apollo spice. Maybe I'll dunk that over my stir fry. Nana77, thank you for the Arca Super. Probably wouldn't have cheered for a gorilla in the cinema before I met you. That's so cute. Thank you for letting me know more about the cuteness of the characters. Oh, that's really, really great. I'm glad I could encourage you to watch the Mario movie because I would really encourage you. I would encourage everyone to see it. If you enjoy Mario in any capacity, I'm guarantee you're going to really, really wind up enjoying the film. So yeah, I ain't got no Ring of Fire. I ain't got no diarrhea. I'm doing just fine. I handled that spice like a champ. Make some stir fry. Ladle all of that Apollo sauce on top. See who's real. See who's the boss now. But all that sauce is in my fridge now, and a lot of that sauce I genuinely just fucking loved. Like sort of the milder stuff, like I would say up to about 69,000 Scoville. I would just have that for pleasure. I would just enjoy that, you know? Uma, thank you very much, and Chris, thank you very much. Yes, I'm doing just fine. Doing just fine, but I am a little bit sick. Like, I've got my blocked nose, and I've got, like, my sore throat. So I think I'm going to try and rest for the rest of the day. So thank you very much for coming, everybody. I know it's been a short stream, but there's not really much else to talk about today, and I think that resting, because we've got a really busy rest of the week, especially around the Puyo Puyo Tetris tournament, there's going to be lots to do. So tomorrow we've got our members ASMR in the morning, and then in the evening it would be FNAF 1020, but I think I do need to take a moment to practice for the Puyo Puyo tournament. So I might swap that stream for a practice stream because I'm a little worried about being a Giga Chad and going in unprepared. I'd like to at least have some standing. I'm thankful that I might be able to go up against someone who is not very good at the game either, but having some practice will be good. So I will probably try and do that tomorrow instead. But the FNAF stream will happen eventually, I promise. So yes, Nyan, thank you for 50 gifted. That's really, really generous. Thank you so much. Fern, Masato, thank you very much for the supers, guys. That's going to be all for me for today. I know it was a short stream, but I had a lovely time, and I hope that all of you take this extra time at the end of the day now to go and see the fucking Mario movie. If you haven't done so already, and if you like Mario, get a ticket. I would really, really recommend it. I think it's a lovely, lovely movie full of lovely, lovely references to a lovely, lovely franchise that I really, really enjoy. Thank you very much, Julia Pipis, for the super, and thank you, Maru for the gift, and thank you, Chris, for the super. Okay, everyone, that's going to be all from me. I'll see you all tomorrow. Get some good rest. Take care of yourselves, and I am going to see you tomorrow for some members ASMR, my first ASMR since my little break, and I will also be playing some Tetris in the evening. So I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye. Ah.